US history. US history. Welcome to my studying of the US history. Every time I study a US history, I will be making a video to know that I learned something. This is a very blurry map of the American continent. Red represents America. Well, technically Britain, but the British colonies. But right now, all you have to worry about is the American part. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about this. For now, worry about this. But let's get this started with. The area that we are very much want to talk about is this area. Probably including something about this area as well too. But that's not important. What is important though is what we learn from US history. Let's start off from the very beginning, Native Americans. Native Americans themselves were here for centuries. In fact, I'm pretty sure they existed here way longer than the Europeans ever did. The thing about these guys, though, is that they knew the land. They knew how to work in this land. They knew how to adapt to this land. They knew how to farm in this land. Everything that they needed. They, of course, had their first contact with the Europeans. With these guys. No, not these guys. Leif Erikson. Leif Erikson. Leif Erikson was the first European and the first person in the, I suppose you could call it the old world, to ever reach America. Thing is, the Vikings never did a permanent settlement there because they just decided they had to move away because, well, they called this place Vinland, and Vinlanders attacked them, and they had to go away. Like, I remember as a kid, I watched this cartoon about Leif Erikson going ahead and finding America, and he said, I think I'm gonna call this Vinland. Vinlanders! Time to run, people! And yeah, it was quite terrifying. But it was quite rewarding as well, too, finding Vinland, nowadays known as America, and finding other things. But this doesn't really have a huge impact on American history. So what does have a huge impact on American history is the Europeans who arrived. The first European to arrive in America ever since Leif Erikson was a guy we know as Christopher Columbus. He's actually Portuguese, but he went to the Spanish because, well, his own Portuguese people were all like, hey, he's stupid. He thinks going to the west is the fastest way to go to Asia when it's supposed to be the east. Ha 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 ha. And they all ridiculed him. And so he went to the Spanish after his own home country's royals were all like, yeah, this guy's a fake. This guy's a loony. And then the Spanish were all like, all right, after we finish our war, we will go ahead and fund your expedition. And as soon as the king and queen of Spain, I think he was King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, went ahead and lent him some of those ships, one of the most famous being like, yeah, that's not the important part of US history. The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. More specifically, Santa Maria, La Nina, La Pinta. And as soon as he landed, he decreed this place for the royal family in Spain and said, oh my gosh, this is one of the best places in the entire world. I reached Asia. And he went to the islands, some of the islands nearby, which somehow corresponded to where Japan was, where he landed. And it was like, this must be some of Japan. Even though the Japanese are like, who the hell is this guy? We never met this guy before. And yeah, this was one of the most foolish things I ever did. But at least they reached land. And as soon as they reached this land, they went ahead and met all of these Native Americans who are depicted for some reason as one of the most wild people ever. They were seen as uncivilized, and they went ahead and taught them civilization. They taught them Christianity, and they taught them how to live like a European, even though they had their already good way of life and had their already good cultures. And somehow this corresponded with their how should I describe this? Their religion. Their religion said that, all right, Europe, all right, some of these people will go ahead and come here in 100 years. They will be our saviors. They will be our God. They will come here. And, well, they checked their calendars and realized that the time was just about to happen. And they're like, oh my God, these are gods. And they went there and talked to these guys. And they're like, hello, gods. And they went ahead and gave them good food, good suffrage. And, well, they gave them good maintenance as well, too, but they started becoming a little spicy when the Spanish decided to just overwelcome their stay. Speaking of which, then, pretty much, the Spanish created their colonies, and other countries wanted to go and make their colonies as well, too. The English certainly tried to make their colonies, and they were able to create this. Scotland tried to make their colonies, but failed, so they merged with Great Britain to save their economy from ruins. France and even Portugal eventually made it, and Spain mainly held this much area and the little bottom part. France mainly held the top part, aka Canada, and the British were all like, this is mine. No, and the French took this part of the land. The Portuguese were like mainly in South America. Now we're going to focus on the British, because without the British, the Americas would never have existed. But pretty much that is all I can really say about this video. Columbus arrives in America. He goes ahead and talks about his stuff. He goes ahead and he just takes some stuff. He never, until his deathbed, he never ever believed that he found a new continent. He always said, I found Asia. Even so, finding a new continent is one of the best things. It is even better than finding Asia. But, yeah, no, it's not happening to him. He's like, I found Asia, America. No, Colombia. No, not Colombia. Asia. Until his deathbed, he believed he found Asia. And that's just about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode of Hunter and Sean. I hope to see you guys soon. Until next time, Shihan out, peace. Bye-bye.